Hello, I am Aisha.
And Paula, your cultural hybrid mental health therapist.
Here to explore unfiltered and heartfelt conversations on core issues
that affect us as human beings. Get ready for honest, captivating,
and real stories that take you on a journey to navigate your life
in the best possible way.
So grab a seat
and stay with us on this episode of
Do We Have Your Attention? Welcome back to the Do We Have Your Attention podcast. Paula, can you believe this is our final episode of season 2?
I know.
What? What?
I cannot believe it. We are 15, well today, 16 episodes in. And it feels like this is, I don't know what to explain it, but it feels good.
I know. It feels so good. I'm so proud of us.
It feels good. And of course, if this is actually your first time tuning in, because to be fair, there might be some people who are tuning in for the first time.
Yeah.
Welcome to the community. We don't bite, we embrace. But let's take a second to actually introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
So I am Paula, one of your amazing co-hosts. And you already know her, the brilliant, the reflective, the beautiful, the OG Yoruba baddie.
Only me.
Aisha Popoola.
Period. Thank you. This is Aisha P here. And of course, my very thoughtful, fearless, and hilariously honest co-host Paula B just introduced herself. And you know what? This is amazing that we get to record our final episode just smiling and being happy.
Yes,
and
proud of us. We're
just
doing
being
the damn
ourselves.
thing.
Yeah, period.
Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Of course.
I need to also mention that.
Love.
Obviously, for building what could be considered an unfiltered mental health podcast together, but also you and I being friends who actually met each other before we even went to grad school, before we even became therapists. And now we can say like we're two cultural hybrid therapists.
Period.
And we've created such a beautiful space that exudes honesty and just real conversations. Very much so deeply humane conversations as well. And we don't shy away from the hard stuff.
Yes, even when it makes us uncomfortable ourselves because we are part of the humans that we're talking about and that we're talking to. And I think that's why today's episode is very special and feels special because we're slowing things down to reflect on 2025. Yay!
I can't believe 2025 is already ending.
I know. This year went by so fast. Like, it's so crazy. I remember it was just January like 2 days ago. And now it's freaking the end of the year.
Don't remind me.
So today we're going to reflect on what we've learned, how we've surprised ourselves, and the conversations that lingered long after we stopped recording.
Absolutely. And of course, we would also be responding to our listeners' questions from this season. We're excited to get into that.
Period.
And of course, the ones that made us think a little bit deeper, see ourselves and our conversations in a new light. We're getting into all of that today.
Period.
But before we get started, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling happy because I'm very proud of us, honestly. Like, shout out to us, Paula, for doing 2 seasons consistently, even despite all the hardships.
Yep.
It's almost like we've made this pact of like, full-time jobs, having social lives. Like, we still show up and we do this. So I'm very proud of us and I'm very happy that we get to end season 2 on a very light note. I'm also feeling sad because, like, you know, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. There's people like just me, you, our producer, our engineer. Shout out to Kyra and Inem. It's always something to look forward to because I know like it's become a little community. So I'm sad that we get to take a mini break. But you know, we'll be seeing y'all soon. So.
And I think you even make a great point where you hear our voices.
Yes.
You hear our laughs and our silly conversation. But there's a lot that goes into making something like this happen.
Yeah.
And I really, really do value just the idea of community, the idea of team, working with people who are embracing our vision, but who see what we want to do and they are on board. They don't question. They're just fully in it. I think it is such a blessing.
It's a blessing
to have such people like this in our lives. And if we don't say this enough, we are very, very grateful for you. And we thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you.
Yes. Thank you for summarizing that. But I'm not going to let you go without you telling me how you feel too. How you feeling?
I think you summarized it well. Like feeling excited, but a little reflective. And not necessarily sad, because I'm looking onwards, upwards, onwards, upwards. I'm excited. Like if we could do all of what we've done for 2 seasons, I can only imagine what season 3 is going to be
look like.
So the idea of just thinking about that makes me excited.
Yeah.
But I am also looking forward to resetting, ending the year on a good note by God's grace, and just getting in the headspace ready to bring our listeners, our community, more stuff. We have so many exciting things planned for next season.
Yeah.
So it feels good to be wrapping it up in such a nice way.
Yeah, in such a positive, nice way. And of course, our listeners, you already know the drill. Make sure that you're checking in with yourself. How you feeling? What's going on? What's coming up for you now? As you also wrap up this season with us, what's coming up for you? Yep. And without further ado, let's dive in. So, Paula B, when you look back at 2025, what's something that has genuinely surprised you about yourself? That's such a deep question.
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm just like, I forgot. I said I'm feeling reflective, so I have to reflect. Okay. On a serious note, though, I think this year I turned 30.
Woo!
So let's just start by that. I entered my 30s, and I've
dirty
always
30.
believed that 30s was it for me.
Yeah.
So it feels good to be in my 30s. I feel like I've arrived. If you want to put it that
arrived.
way.
Yeah.
I've arrived. I'm I'm 30. It makes sense. It aligns.
Exactly.
So this year for me was definitely about alignment. This year for me was definitely about acceptance. I think this year, one of the things that really genuinely surprised me about myself is I know this, but I have grown in a way where I could never have imagined seeing myself as the woman I am today. And it is very reflective of the people that I have in my life. It's very reflective of the work that I do. But it's also reflective of the way I treat myself.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the biggest thing, because even if it was still reflective a little bit to some degree, it was never really truly reflective of how I treated myself.
Yeah.
But I feel as though this year, one of the things that has genuinely surprised me is I am more trusting of who I am, how I show up, what is meant for me, what's not meant for me.
Yeah.
I'm working with myself and not against myself, if I want to put it that way.
Period. Exactly.
How about you?
I love that. I think this year, 2025.
Why are we always laughing?
2025 has been a year, huh? I think this year, something that has surprised me is how I've handled very difficult situations. I think there's just some times where I expected to break down or just fall apart, or even something as little as breaking cycles. For example, going to the gym, habits that have really helped me. Just because this year there's just been things that have happened that have just been so tense and difficult to work through. But I think that, I guess the word I'm looking for is my resilience surprised me, and my ability. I think it was something I saw at the beginning of the year. And I don't think I even realized that I held on to that thing that I saw. But I think something I saw at the beginning of the year was basically if you keep dwelling on things that you can't control and focus on, I knew this, but I don't know, something about that video just stood to me. In general, what the person was saying was if you keep holding on to the things you can't control and sit in that negativity, it really does unconsciously play out the way that you're thinking about it. And I think for me, this year I was very intentional with my thoughts, and something that surprised me as well was seeking help when I couldn't. I would tell Paula, I genuinely can't. I actually can't do this. Can you you help? So like asking for help, but even challenging myself to put myself out there. I was like, who is this person? Like I was shy at first, but after a while I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And there's still times where I like struggle, but being consistent, being resilient, and not letting things that are happening define who I am has been very, like separating things that are happening from who I am has been something that has really surprised me because you know how people always say like you're your worst critic? That has been very true for me. And this year, I didn't find myself being my worst critic. I was my best supporter, my best person, like patting myself at the back, like reminding myself that, you know what, girl, you're doing enough. And it's okay sometimes if things don't align. That's not your fault. Focus on what you can focus on. So that's been what truly surprised me. So you were
working with yourself.
Exactly. Not against myself. Like you said, clock it.
You know, another thing that like in listening to you, and I was about to say what you're giving is giving last year of my 20s.
Oh, yes. Just before
I arrived.
My 30. And this year, I know, Paula, I'm not going to give details of it. I set a big boundary that I didn't think I was going to. I was like, oh my God. Who is she? Who is this person? That really shocked me because I feel like I'm always sometimes accommodating of other people's feelings. And this year I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, no, leave. So yeah, shout out to us.
That is really it. That's what it's giving. So just saying, you know what I mean?
Welcome me to the third floor.
Okay. Did 2025 turn out the way you expected it to? Or did it teach you something completely different?
Oh, Oma. I don't even know. You're right. Why do we keep laughing? I think I'm laughing because I'm just...
It's like nervous laughing.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
We're sharing.
But I think no year has ever turned out the way I wanted it to turn out. Let me just start from there. Like, I was telling my sister, because I think it was like 2 years ago, we started like making like a vision board. And I was telling her very recently, I was like, look at this vision board, Seth. Nothing that I really wanted on the vision board is really happening. And I was like, wait, that's a lie. There's things that are happening on that vision board. It's just like there's some that I know will take time. So I feel like 2025 hasn't gone the way that I expected, but I also feel like he has taught me to be patient. Like he's taught me to be patient and focus on my progress and not too fixated on the outcome, because when you fixate on the outcome is when you start thinking that nothing's happening for you, but there's like things going on. And I've just realized that I can't force things. Like I really can only control what I can control. And I can only do what I can. I can only show up the way that I feel like I can show up. And honestly, surrendering in that way has been very, very helpful, because if something like, for example, my vision board is looking like, oh, that may not happen. I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah. I mean, I'll just try again next year. But because I know like there's steps that I've started, it's kind of like planting a seed. I've planted seeds to get to that goal. And that goal can always be on my vision board. It doesn't have to change every year. I think that's something that's been very helpful. Like it could look different, but like it doesn't have to change. I can plant seeds to get to that goal and continue working towards it. So
absolutely,
it hasn't been going the way I expected, but I don't think I would change the way it's gone actually. Yeah. When I think about it.
That's a good way to say that.
What about you?
Yeah, and I was thinking when you said, have I had years that have gone the way in which you expected? I would say I've had years that have gone better than expected.
Exactly.
And maybe that's like 2023, 2024, where the first... 2023 specifically was like the first year where I was able to live my life like outside of like the hospital. So that was such a very big shift.
Yeah.
From since 2018?
Yeah.
On and off since 2018, being like in and out of the hospital. 2023 was like the first year where I think maybe I only had one major like hospital visit. Yeah. So that was already just like outside of my expectation, in the sense where, I'm seeing what God promised me, that I am going to be able to live my life even if I have chronic health issues, but I'm going to be able to live my life without having to like pick one, if you get what I mean. Yeah. And then 2024 became no major hospital visits.
Period.
And I was like, okay, what is happening? And then it steps not even just into no major hospital visits, but I could start working out and not like be in pain. Before I used to exercising used to like flare up my health condition and like keep me bedridden.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really much that I could do except for like yoga or just walk.
Yeah.
But I could start going back to strength training and the things that I used to love to do before I got sick.
Period.
And before I got sick, the person who I was feels very far away. Like I was this very active person, was always in the gym, running, doing a bunch of things, like always just wanting to do daring things. And of course, sickness and health issues can put you in a position where you become very careful and fearful of life.
Yeah.
And I know I'm still in that place where I'm still careful, I'm still fearful, but I'm a lot less fearful.
Yeah.
I'm a lot less careful, which I think is also growth.
That's good.
And then transitioning into 2025 for me, it was, can I actually be consistent with this? Like consistent with getting my body to do things it hasn't been able to do for a long time. And that consistency showed up.
Period.
Even when health challenges.
Yeah.
So I definitely had more health challenges this year than I had in 2020 and 2024.
Yeah.
But I was able to like still push through in the sense where I was still able to do the things in my life that I wanted to really do.
Right.
So I don't know if I would say it's gone as I expected because to some degree I was like, I expected to not really have any, like I expected to not really have like, not any major health issues,
right?
But I expected to have less pain days, so to speak. But I did have a variety of pain days. But the way in which I can still say it went better than I expected is like going back to what you were saying, how I was able to navigate it, not from a place of fear or anxiety or panic,
right?
But like from a place of trust and faith, but security and confidence in, I know my body now, I know what I deal with, and I know how to navigate and advocate for myself.
Right. Not from a place
so
of
I think
fear,
in a strange way, it's gone, I guess you could say, how it was supposed to go.
Yep, how
and
it was
that's
written
probably
to go.
one of the biggest things. And you hit the nail on the head with this idea of being able to surrender. And I haven't fully gotten to surrender, even though I am surrendering, like fully surrendering, but I've gotten to a point of acceptance.
Right.
And I think that's also preparing me as well to get to that place where I'm like, okay, it's going to now teach me to eventually learn how to fully surrender.
Period. I love that. And you know what you were saying about acceptance? When you accept, like when things happen, they don't really faze you as much. You're just like, oh, okay, you know. Sometimes it's like, oh, done this before. We just need to reevaluate what to do. And sometimes it's like, okay, more room for growth. So I love that.
Well said.
Okay.
Well said.
What lesson kept showing up for you this year, even when you thought you already learned it? This one is making me think, hey, God, I'm just like,
that's a
so
good
many lessons showed up, Og.
What lesson kept showing up for me this year, even
though you thought
when I thought I had learned it? I think one for me is that I can know something, but God's time and my readiness is just as important as me knowing something.
Exactly.
So basically, I can know that this is for me, but if it hasn't happened in God's time, and God hasn't used that time to make me ready for it because he understands that it is important that your readiness is part of that process.
Yeah.
Then knowing that thing is just knowing that thing.
Yeah.
I still have to go and be present in God's time. That's one of the biggest things, whether it's for my relationships, whether it's for my work and obviously my dreams and my goals. And I've been so into my dreams and my goals and the things I want to achieve and I know I'm going to achieve. But understanding that there's things that God has to teach me and like grow in me, but also take out of me.
Yeah.
For me to eventually get to that point. And that's when it will click, when it's in God's time.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that has kept showing up for me this year as well is that I can trust myself. And part of what it means to, I guess, live with PTSD or have a history of PTSD is that it makes you not trust yourself.
Right.
It makes you trust your fears, your trauma, your survival behaviors, your distorted thinking behaviors, your cognitive mind traps. It makes you trust all these dysfunctional things.
Right.
It makes you trust control. And all these things that actually don't really allow you recognize that it's less about like trying to reach for these things and more about looking inwards. So I think this year has been such a big lesson for me in seeing that I am discerning for myself.
Love that.
I'm in a place of great discernment. My intuition is strong. I can trust my intuition and what my body, my spirit, so to speak, is saying and telling me. And I don't have to sort of reach out to many different dysfunctional things that have helped me get to where I am anymore because they're no longer serving me.
Yeah.
I knew that. But I think this year was a real example of me seeing how I showed up for myself in difficult situations and made me realize that. How about you?
I love your answers. And I think that I definitely connect with you on the one with, I think, faith and just God in general. I think something that I've learned this year is you cannot question God. You just got to have faith. I think just having faith because there's just so many things that happen. I think having faith and understanding what you say, like God's timing. There's just so many things that happened this year that it was like, wow, you really just got to trust God. You can't second guess it. Just because you want it now doesn't mean it's the right time. So you really just have to. And I think that's part of where this surrendering came from, where it's like, I really just got to trust that. It's in God's hands.
It's always for your good.
It's always for my good. It may not be at the time that I imagined it will happen, but it's still coming and there's no need to rush. Maybe there's something else I need to focus on then or like learn or grow in that waiting period. But if I'm too fixated on the timing, then I miss all of those things. So I think the faith and surrendering and just appreciating the waiting period has been very, 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 very helpful. And I think one other thing that I continue to learn from is just that your healing is always messy. I know we keep saying it and you know, it shows up, it's not linear. It's just, there's things that would always happen and that would always remind you about your healing, but it doesn't always have to be negative. I think that's something I learned. Like, it could just be that you've actually grown past some certain situations. Or you've already moved forward self. You didn't even know. And now you know. So I think that's something that keeps showing up for me. That
absolutely.
I guess I've moved past that. Or I guess I'm a whole different person now. I feel more confident in setting boundaries, or I feel more confident in communicating, or, I'm more compassionate for myself. The way I'm showing up for myself is very much different. That's something
It's hitting.
It's hitting. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I love the way in which you just summarized that. And obviously, as we're transitioning into some of our listeners' questions as well.
Yeah.
I've been in a waiting period in my life before where I was asking God, am I ever going to just not be in the hospital or ever just not be in pain? Like, is this going to be my life? And I remember God telling me that, no, it is not. But then he didn't give me a timeline.
Right. You just
and
have
I
to
was
wait.
like, I don't understand. I get it and I believe it. I get it. I believe it. I don't see it.
But God,
I really started having to envision a life. Like, I started to really envision a life where I was able to do all the things I wanted to do, and I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've really learned about the waiting period as well, and I want to just pass that to you and also pass that back to myself, because now I'm in another waiting period for something else, is that it's not only about what you do during the waiting season, even though what you do is important.
Yeah.
It's also about who you are during the waiting season. And sometimes we can wait but be arrogant. Sometimes we can't wait but be selfish. Sometimes we can't wait but be greedy. Sometimes we can't wait but be actually very resentful. What we do is just as important, but it's also important that during these waiting seasons as well that you're in, you're really checking in on who you are and who you're showing up to be as well.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for summarizing that way and reminding me about the waiting period.
Absolutely. Okay, we're switching gears just a little bit. Looking back across all 15 episodes, now 16 today.
Period.
Which conversation or topic stayed with you the most?
That's a tough question.
The one you were still processing, it sat with you even after recording. And why?
I feel like after we record, a lot of them sit with me. But I think just because of where I am now in terms of like just growing, I think the compassion topic sat with me a little bit, why we struggle with giving ourselves compassion. And I think the attachment one, because those are the ones that I was like actively working. I'm actively, let me not even say that I'm actively working on in terms of being more securely attached and just being a little bit more nicer to myself and giving myself more compassion and seeing the growth. I think sat with me, but those topics just were reminders that I am working. So I'm working, I'm putting in the work, and whether it's just with how I'm interacting with myself, but just also being intentional with how I'm interacting with other people and paying more attention, kind of like taking data with how my attachment style will show up and, you know, being more intentional with not working towards like an anxious or like an avoidant attachment style, or even something as little as just being very critical. And I know we talk about criticism in like sometimes being big things, but it's something so small, like you make a mistake and you're telling yourself like, that was so stupid, or how could you make such an idiotic mistake, right? So just being more intentional with how I speak to myself and reminding myself that I'm a human being and I make mistakes and I'm flawed and I'm learning and I'm growing. So I think those episodes definitely will always stick out to me. What about you?
Yeah, that's a very good way to just reflect on that. It's interesting because I reflected on it very differently, which is okay. I think the two that stood out to me was, the first one was just obviously the one we had with Funta.
Oh, yes.
The why do people avoid therapy? I think it was just something from, I guess, having 3 therapists who are Nigerian women, but also really doing a lot and pioneering a lot in the field of mental health, having very honest and open conversation. I guess it was like a conversation I could have only dreamed of as someone obviously who grew up in Nigeria. And found it very difficult to have conversations like this with people.
Normalizing conversations.
Exactly, having normalizing conversations. So that did something for me. Like my younger self that needed that type of, I don't know, is it healing or whatever the case is. And the other one that stood out to me was the sexual trauma one. And not necessarily from any place, but it felt good to see myself talk about my sexual trauma history from such a powerful place, but educative place, an objective place, without it being anything else but that.
But that, yes.
And that for me, I've always known that I've definitely really grown in terms of obviously healing from sexual trauma. And it's something I'm going to obviously navigate my whole life. But it was really good to see me in that sense, because it was validating for me to see that, like the work that you've put in yourself is actually paying off.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. Thanks for sharing that. That's definitely
You're welcome.
Very nice to hear. Look at us growing.
I know, right? Yay for growth.
Look at us growing and healing, period. I love that.
Okay.
So now you listeners have done a great job sending us some questions. Shout out to you guys. First off, shout out to everyone that sent in questions.
Thank you.
They were very honest, layered, and reflective of the conversations that we've had this season. So thank you very much. So Paula and I are going to answer some of those questions. So shall we? Can we dive in, Matt?
Yes, please.
Okay.
It's not just about us.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. So somebody asked this question. So they said, would you agree that there's a link between avoidance and an inability to practice accountability? Wow. If yes, how does one navigate that? Love that question.
Is there a link between avoidance and being unable to practice accountability?
Yes.
Absolutely. Because avoidance is like a protective measure. So it's a way of avoiding responsibility, whether it's responsibility of your emotions, your feelings, responsibility of yourself in like a present situation or encounter. Because avoidance can look like shutting down. It can look like dismissive behavior. It can look like criticism. It looks so many different ways.
Yeah.
And when you do think about that, acknowledging or taking ownership, taking responsibility is accountability.
Right.
So when you sort of put two together, the likelihood of someone who is avoidant, or the likelihood of someone who is avoidant to take accountability is very low.
Yeah.
The likelihood of someone who is not avoidant taking accountability is very high.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a very strong link between both.
I agree.
Now, I personally think that a lot of people, and I'm not saying all, a lot more people who are avoidant are unaware of their avoidance. Or actually, I put it this way. They are aware of their avoidance, but they are not self-aware, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they are aware that there's something about what's happening that leads them to avoid, if you want to just put it that way, to separate self.
Yeah.
But they don't see themselves enough to understand how avoidance shows up in
for
their
them.
encounters. So the biggest thing is actually, and some people that who are avoidant may not like me, but it's okay.
It's okay. This is how you hold people accountable.
You have to be honest with yourself. And I do believe that there's a little bit of dishonesty with self that happens with those avoidant personality types, the avoidant behaviors where there's a perception that oftentimes is you are making me uncomfortable. You are pushing me away. What you're doing is making me feel this way. And I can give you an example. I had a session with a client of mine who was sharing with me that she saw on TikTok this guy who said, us avoidant people, and I'm just obviously paraphrasing, but this guy on TikTok who said the only people that should date avoidant people are securely attached people.
Now, why
because
would you do
avoidant
that?
people love securely attached people because they know when to basically leave you alone, respect your space and whatnot. And the client got very triggered to the point where like he really personalized it. And I just said to her, I said, so let me point this out. This is what this person is saying. This person is saying, you need to change. You need to be better. So I can benefit from you being better.
Yeah.
So why isn't the avoidant person wanting to be securely attached?
Exactly.
Why are they seeing it as it's you who needs to be securely attached?
Not taking
in
responsibility.
order for you to be with me.
Yeah.
So what does that show you? A lack of accountability already that's there.
Yeah.
And sometimes because I don't fall under that category.
Period. You better speak on it.
But sometimes what ends up happening for yourself is you might maybe try to be more accountable, but I think you maybe need to address the avoidance first. In order for you to be able to be somebody who is a lot more accountable.
I agree.
You have to be somebody who can sit in discomfort.
Agreed.
You have to be somebody who can have difficult conversations.
Agreed.
You have to be somebody who can really face consequences without attaching your worth to it. And the truth of the matter is navigating that means also asking for help.
I agree.
And navigating that also means knowing that you do need help.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you answered that excellently. The only thing I'll add is, and navigating that also means being compassionate with yourself. You know, just being compassionate with knowing that you're trying to learn more about yourself and be better for yourself, period. So
absolutely.
Thank you for answering that. Yeah.
So this next question, this person says, I don't really believe in closure. Neither do I. Well, to some degree. Yeah. But I don't really believe in closure. I don't seek it. I don't give it. I usually end relationships with a clean break and completely revoke access.
Wow.
The more I'm reading, I'm like,
This sounds like me.
I usually end relationships with a clean break and completely revoke access. It often looks like indifference or coldness. After your episode on closure, I've been wondering, is this healthy or is this trauma-induced avoidance? That's a great question.
This is a very deep question and a very honest reflection, honestly.
Yeah. Shout out
thank
to
you
whoever wrote that
Ray.
question.
I just want to start by saying protecting your peace is not a bad thing, okay? Sometimes cutting people off or just like severing contact is actually good for your own emotional safety and for your well-being. But I think if we're focused on, I guess what the question was saying is like why we choose that route and what's like driving this clean break, like this person said. I think if it comes from a space of like clarity, like you've processed it, you've accepted it, you've decided that you're not attaching yourself to that situation anymore and you're just kind of letting go, then it can be absolutely healthy. But if it's coming from a place of avoidance and a place of like emotional exhaustion and a place of like, I just don't want to deal with it because it's bringing up a lot of pain or unresolved pain, then that's more like trauma-induced avoidance. So
Absolutely.
I feel like sometimes what can look like, I don't need closure, is really like, I don't trust that this closure will bring me peace. And I think for me personally, when I think about myself, I've learned that closure, if I haven't processed the situation, would only keep bringing things up for me. So I'm like, I want to have this closure conversation with this person. Then I have the conversation with that person. And I'm like, okay, great, that was closure. And then we leave the conversation and I'm like, oh, there's something else I want to address now, right? That's because I haven't fully processed or accepted it. But I think also thinking about closure as not just a conversation sometimes. I think sometimes it's just a process that happens within you.
Within yourself.
Right, within yourself. Like, it's like, okay, again, like I said, you've really thought about it, you've processed it, you've acknowledged where the gap was, where you needed to grow and learn, where you can hold yourself accountable, but also kind of when you reflect on the things that are valuable to you and the things that make sense for you, you're like, okay, me and this person or me and this thing don't align anymore. Then what do you even need the closure for, right? It's like, okay, I know where the gap is. I know that this doesn't serve me anything. Interacting with this person actually causes me more pain and harm. Like, you don't need to talk to someone to validate that. You already know
Absolutely.
that, right? So I think, if it's from a place where you've really processed it, whether it's before you have that conversation, if you need to have that conversation, you've already processed it, you've accepted it, and you're now ready to move forward with it, and you're like, okay, I need to sever all forms of communication, and that's great. But if it's coming from a place of, you don't want to deal with the feelings that come with it. And then, you keep carrying that. The problem with doing that is, what they say, hurt people hurt people. You're going to somehow start hurting other people and even worse, hurting yourself in the process. Because now you're probably going to be more guarded. You're probably going to not want to be vulnerable with other people, but you're going to keep being in denial and telling yourself like, okay, I think I move forward from it. But the truth is maybe you're not. And so all of this is just about being honest with yourself about what is this clean break? What really is it? Is it protecting me, or is it really because it's coming from a place where I'm like ready to move forward and let go? So long story short.
I think you answered that so well. And when I say so well, I mean, you really answered that as a therapist.
I did.
If that makes sense. Like seeing all sides and really nudging the person to evaluate all sides and like ask themselves these probing questions. And I think that that's really great. The only thing I would add to this, I guess whoever asked this question is, you said yourself. You said, I don't seek it, I don't give it. I usually end relationships with a clean break. Completely revoke access. It often looks like indifference
and
coldness. Or coldness. I think even you know that that's not healthy.
Right.
Because if you read through that question, that's not about closure. That's about something
more
else.
About protecting yourself.
There's something exactly. It sounds like protection. Self-protection. And if we're going to, I guess, go back to what you were saying, Aisha, when you ask yourself that self-protection looks like healthy boundaries, self-protection is not rigid boundaries. And a lot of what is being described is very much so in line with rigid boundaries.
Right.
And sometimes that can absolutely be trauma-induced avoidance.
Yep, exactly. Right. So just something to think about for the person that asked this question or other people that...
Thank you for asking that question.
That experience this. Okay. So third question, someone said, growing up, I was an easy child, aware of the adults around me and their struggles. So I try not to add to it. Now as an adult, it grates when people try to police my journey. They call me stubborn or rebellious because I don't always say yes to what they think is right for me. There's guilt, but also in knowing that my life is mine to unravel. How do I communicate this without shutting down or growing quiet? Wow, I feel this question for real.
Yeah, I literally was about to say that. I feel this question heavily because I was that child as well. I was that child who spent more of her time managing people's emotions, making people comfortable, not adding to conflict, but making sure to resolve it.
Yeah.
Imagine like a clown, like a puppet dancing, like a clown. She's like, doon, you perform.
It's really a performance.
And you get so exhausted.
Yeah.
But what happens when you are that easy child?
Yeah.
The expectation is that you stay easy.
Yeah.
And like the expectation is not just that you stay easy, but you stay easy based off of the perception of what easy means to those people. So meaning if you choose something different,
right,
and that difference is something that is beneficial for you, like you said, what is right for you.
Yeah.
If that is not seen as easy or acceptable to said people, you immediately become the black sheep to some degree. And that's a very difficult place to navigate. Being in this place of sometimes mostly people pleasing and then going to or moving towards this identity of, oh, my life is mine to unravel. I'm going to have to make decisions that people aren't happy with. But I recognize our decisions are important for me and my own well-being. That's a difficult place. And I empathize with whoever it is that's going through that, because that transitional period comes with a lot of grief. It comes
really
with
does.
a lot of grief. It comes with a lot of acceptance. It comes with a lot of having to accept that some people and some of these adults are never going to get it. It comes with the reality of not only may they never get it, but they might even give you a hard time for choosing yourself. And one of the things I really love, like requoting from this author who wrote the Boundaries book, the Good Boundaries, Goodbyes, Lisa Turkhurst, is where she said, people aren't going to tell you to set boundaries with them. So I'm going to just reframe that. People aren't going to tell you to do what's best for you.
If it's benefiting them.
If it's going to benefit them, you not doing what's best for you.
Exactly.
Or if it's going to come at the expense of you no longer doing what you were doing to serve them, to make them comfortable, to make them happy. I also just want to validate that it can feel like you're doing something wrong because you're doing something new. You're choosing yourself. You're choosing to basically step into your own identity, your own life. But you have to recognize that what love really looks like is never going to be anybody wanting you to be anything else other than yourself. Anybody wanting you to be anything else other than someone who is doing what they need to do and choosing things in their life that makes them happy, makes them grow and evolve. That's what love is, the opposite, in the sense where those are the people who truly embrace you, regardless of whether it comes at the expense of you prioritizing their needs before your own. So it is very important for you to recognize that there is a journey that you're going to be on. You're going to have to accept the discomfort that comes with that. But trust and believe when I say on the other side is going to be peace, is going to be joy, is going to be resilience.
Exactly.
But most importantly, on the other side is going to be the people who genuinely love you. And sometimes those might be some of these adults. Your boundaries is going to be put in place to show you who is really for you and who is not for you.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for answering that. Just a conclusion. It's okay to be misunderstood and it's okay to be different. And it's okay to love people and or hold love for people. Sometimes love them from a distance and still have boundaries at the same time. You're allowed to do what's best for you, period.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Whoever asked that, that's very good.
All right. This last one, not necessarily a question as much as it's like a comment. But this person says, being a millennial must be tough. But I love that episode. Well, thank God there's somebody out there that is
validating that
feels what we're feeling.
Thank you for validating it.
And they said, it made me think about being a Gen Z in this weird space of panic and pressure to quickly become, so I'm guessing to quickly become something. I've learned that consciously looking at myself is important. Shout out to Faith and Yesam. Shout out Faith. Shout out to you, Aisha. Shout out to you, Paula. It's been such a wonderful and insightful season.
Oh, I really love that reflection. Thank you. I feel seen.
Thank you.
I feel seen. I feel validated. But honestly, what this person said about this weird space of panic and pressure to quickly become, yes.
We deal with that on a day-to-day basis.
Every time. I feel like a lot of us are living in that tension between wanting to be where you want to be and then realizing that there's no finish line. Like you just have to keep going.
Absolutely.
It can be very, very hard. Thank you for this reflection.
Yeah.
And
thank you so much.
Choosing to slow down and just be yourself and letting things unfold naturally can actually cause you to be more in tune with yourself and other people, and even how you're even digesting all this social media content, and not like compare yourself. So it's just a reminder that timelines, again, are always different. I think we talked about that earlier,
Absolutely.
Timelines are timelines, and everyone's timeline is different. And just reminding ourselves that, thank you for this reflection, person.
Absolutely. And just to quote the queen herself, Lauryn Hill, and I'm just reframing it, obviously. She said, success is not defined by external factors.
Exactly.
Success is internal. If it is not enjoyable, if it is not sustainable, if you can't be a person of integrity while having all these things, that's not success.
It's not.
So something that can be helpful for you is really being able to redefine what success looks like for you.
Right.
Not from an achievement, not from an accomplishment standpoint, but from a place of actually looking inwards.
Period. And I think that's what this whole season has been about. Just being more self-aware, learning about healing, acknowledging your growth, no matter how small, holding yourself accountable, holding other people accountable, and knowing that all of these things take time and there's a process and they cannot be rushed. So
absolutely. And to our listeners, we just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's amazing to see that we actually do have listeners.
I know.
We don't know who you are. I really don't know like who a lot of these people are.
Right.
But I feel like connected in some shape or form, which is crazy to say. And I'm sure you probably understand what I'm saying when I say that.
Yeah, I know.
So we really just want to say thank you.
Yes. And as you step into what's next, just as we've asked ourselves and we've answered these questions, we also want you to ask yourself, how have you surprised yourself this year? And what have you learned about yourself this year?
Absolutely. And while you're asking yourself, please remember to rate our episodes, rate our podcast, leave your comments, leave your feedback.
Yes.
We really, really are working towards creating and establishing a community of you all.
Yes.
And being intentional about that. And we want to keep the conversation going even while we are in the waiting period, so to speak, for season 3. And while we're reviewing season 1 and season 2, and we're going through all these conversations, keep that conversation going.
Yes.
And the way to keep that conversation going is by, 1, finding us on Instagram at DWHYA Podcast, on X at DWHYA Podcast, on TikTok at DWHYA Podcast 1, and emailing us at info@dwhyapodcast.com. And absolutely, you can also keep the conversation going by following me at paula.b.martins on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere. And Aisha, where can they find you?
You can find me at ab.popoola on Instagram and on TikTok. We really want to hear from you guys. So please share your thoughts, feedback, concerns, even anything. We would like to hear.
Absolutely. And with that being said, I cannot wait to say this. We will see you in season 3.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing.
Take care of your hearts. Take care of your soul. Take care of your body. Take care of your mind. And keep paying attention, because growth is happening all the time.
Yes. And don't forget, the journey is just as important as the destination. So please continue to stay curious, stay kind, and keep showing up for yourself. And with that being said,
until next time.